I'm gonna eat like the Liver King for an entire week, and I've got raw liver here. And we already took this shot and I had 2 pieces of raw liver, and now we're gonna do it again. So we're gonna start, right? Now. Okay, so we're gonna go into who is the Liver King, and he is Brian Johnson. And again, just like I said in my first one, not Brian Johnson of AC/DC, but Brian Johnson of Ancestral Supplements. And he is a social media king right now. He blew up on TikTok, blew up on Instagram, and is likely gonna blow up on YouTube. So let's go into this real quickly. His diet: liver, eggs, maple syrup, and testes. That's basically what he's eating. My diet, and I'm gonna try and change my diet around a little bit. I typically eat meat, broth, organs, raw milk, potatoes, and I do like junk food. Does Brian shave his chest? Yes. Do I shave my chest? Sometimes. Does Brian have a beard? Yes. The Liver King's got a sweet beard. I currently do as well. Is Brian bald? No. Is Dane bald? Sadly.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
This is funny, dude. Is Brian using Proviron and Masteron? Me? Nah. Ancestral House? Nah. Me? Maybe. I have an 880 square foot Sears and Roebuck house. That might count. Ancestral income? Nah. Nah. Exercise? Yes. Brian the Liver King is a huge proponent for exercise, a huge proponent for getting out in the sun, working out, making yourself feel better, eating a lot of really, really healthy food. That's exactly what he's about. He does stand for some really, really, really good stuff. Myself, yes, of course, I love exercise. Who's got the bigger bench? I think I've got the bigger bench. So the next week, I'm gonna eat exactly like the Liver King. We're gonna go through it day by day, and we'll see what happens on the other side. I love raw ground beef with salt. That's about 3 ounces in here that was filled in this shank here. Big props to Liver King here is, dude, this is making me meal prep, and people who meal prep immediately lose weight because they're more aware of their macros and all that stuff. So that's a really good positive. So I made this collagen and protein shake here with water, and then I have 6 to 8 ounces of raw camel milk here. The collagen I'm using is Keystone from Earth-Fed Muscle, Multi-Balls from Earth-Fed Muscle. Check out those labels. Best supplement line in the entire world. Okay, so this is day 1 of the diet. This is my first meal. So I got raw liver, raw ground beef from a grass-fed cow. I got raw bone marrow, which all these are very, very nutrient dense. I got my protein shake. I got my raw camel milk. And so raw milk in general is a little bit easier to digest. It's gonna be a little bit higher in beta carotenes and conjugated linoleic acid, CLA. So that's like really potent antioxidants. But camel milk is also good if you have someone who has autoimmune issues. And then our raw yogurt. So I am going to dive into this liver, and then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna transfer over the burger, and I'm gonna mix in my raw eggs. I love maple syrup. I think my biggest problem with the raw part is how stringy raw liver is. It's extremely stringy. I don't think I've ever had raw bone marrow. We make tons and tons of bone broth, and actually, if you go back on our YouTube channel to like 2009, I have a video making raw kefir and raw bone broth, and I love bone marrow in a shank. I used to suck the bone marrow out of lamb shanks all the time growing up, so I really, really like cooked marrow. I don't think I've ever had it though, straight raw, so I did want to try that before I put anything on it. Tastes like nothing. It's like weird texture, but it's almost like having dried toothpaste. So I'm separating my egg white from the egg yolk, and I'm gonna put that in on top of my ground beef. So I really like runny eggs. I'm that person that is sort of gross with their food. I think part of being Pennsylvania Dutch is you just pile everything together, and no matter what it is, you call it a casserole. And so that's what I'm doing. I'm making a beef, bone marrow, egg yolk casserole. Okay, so to do a diet like this, I think the big part is knowing your farmer. We're fortunate enough where one of our in-house graphic designers, his parents own a farm where there are grass-fed cows. My brother's a grass-fed farmer. where we get our raw milk from, grass-fed farmer. So I think it's important to make sure you're sourcing your meat from a, from a good location. So that's one thing I got to give him too, to the Liver King, is he does a good job. Like, he's not asking you to do too crazy of a concept where it's like, it's 2 ounces of liver. It's not that big of a deal. Like, it's not that much. I think the weirdest part is just getting videoed while I'm eating. Meal 1, almost finished. All right, on to the next meal. All right, so this is day 2. Raw yogurt, protein and collagen, raw liver here, raw egg yolks, raw beef. I actually got, it's like 6.5 to 7 ounces of bone marrow here. So I'm gonna just divvy up like 2 ounces there. So then I got my camel milk, and this is the protein we're using. So this is thick mints. This is a minty whey protein, and probably tastes like Girl Scout cookies, the mint Girl Scout cookies from Earth Fed Muscle. So it's extremely good, but I put that with my collagen. So I will say the liver, not that it's like grown on me, but it's not as bad as I thought it was gonna be. I think one of my problems is, like, I tend to like carbohydrates, so beans and rice, oatmeal. Now, I did have sweet potato last night, so I think that's gonna help me. And I'm gonna try to have a sweet potato every night and avocado. Liver King only eats sweet potatoes and avocado, so I'm probably gonna do that every single day. One of the other aspects to this specific style of eating is that Stéphane Gouyenet, who's a professor, I think he's still a professor at University of Washington, he did some research around bone broth, and he has a whole book on the gut and how the gut handles food, and also how your brain and cravings, when you eat something that tastes really good, you inherently want to eat more of it because it's very calorically dense. When you're eating food like this, like, it's not that it tastes bad, it's just, it doesn't taste really good. You have ice cream, it tastes really good because there's a lot of fat and there's a lot of sugar. You know, you have egg yolks with ground meat, it's like the food reward system is not as high, so you don't overeat. So I'm gonna wash this down with some of my camel milk and my shake, my thick mints, where I have about 20 to 30 grams of collagen in there too. Day 2, Liver King crushing it. Liver King diet. Okay, now I'm eating my lunch. Got my raw liver in there. Hi, Timon. You want some? Looks good. It's like this. It's like, My last meal before I do the 24-hour Liver King fast. I'm having a whole bunch of bone marrow, liver, a little bit of nut butter, cook some burgers, steaks, avocado, sweet potato, and a little bit of milk. What I'm gonna do, start that last meal off and start smacking some raw liver. All right, so I just finished the massive steak. Now I got my second sweet potato. So 7:30. Okay. So I'm starting my fast after I finish this. So I'll get 24 hours no eating. Check out this bone broth. So it's about 2 o'clock. We'll eat at 8 o'clock, so we're at about 6 hours left. I'm gonna make this bone broth. I had a couple cups of black coffee. We're gonna go for a family walk. I'm gonna give you a tour of our sweet Sears and Roebuck house. We're going for a little walk. 4 kids, my wife, Pikachu, Buttercup. Right there's our sweet cob oven for making pizza, handmade. This is our backyard. There, look at that. Really nice 1930s chicken house. We got a tiny home right behind us there. About 880 square feet, Sears and Roebuck. Follow Big Bro. Follow Pongo. Okay, so here's our fresh pile of wood. So when you actually use wood to heat your house, you don't use an axe to split it or a maul. you get this sweet 4-way log splitter. It cuts your time drastically in like tenths. Then we got this pile of wood here. So we have to transport all this stuff to our house under the woodshed. So we got like 2 hours left on this fast. I'm pretty hungry right now. I think the best part about fast though is just the control. You have to control yourself. And you start to see food a little differently. This is like the best part too. You're on your fast, go for a little walk, get a little distracted from the walk, spend some time with the family. Seneca just conned me into carrying her. Wanna say hi? Dirt driveway. 4 crazy kids. I'm starting to get a little irritable because I'm fasting. So what we have right here, this is our kitchen. That's about 80 square feet. Okay, then we walk into here. We see the Pokemon master, Sanderson Miller, the absolute master of Pokemon. So this is our kitchen, our dining room table, our picnic table, our patio, our theater room, our living room, our sun room.
Dad, that's not our theater room.
Wool blanket bedroom. Yes, that's a pallet for a headboard. There we go. Now we got a light that works. See, we try to have as few lights that work in the house because that keeps the EMF down. So if none of our electricity is working, we're gonna be good, right?
Shielded walls, grounded floors, shielded ceiling. So once again, as long as the Faraday curtains are closed, this place is really a safe haven. No EMFs, no non-native EMFs are getting in here. That's going to allow you to get your most restorative, deepest sleep.
1928 Sears and Roebuck, Griffin edition. Breaking the fast first, raw egg. I always feel like that egg yolk just sort of coats my gut. Nice. So I feel really, really good as I'm about to smash some more raw liver. Got my first 2 big bites. Got fat water, bone marrow. Steak seasoned, 24-hour fast done. So I decided I liked my fast so much yesterday that it's nice and chilly out. I'm gonna fast again today. So I'm not gonna fast for 24 hours, but what I'm gonna do is I decided why not take this like an 18-hour fast, see how I feel off of that. And then I'm bringing a new organ into the mix, and that organ is gonna be heart. So today, I've always felt heart's like the most overrated organ out there because it tastes like a poor man's roast beef. So it doesn't taste bad, it's just overrated. And that's sort of how I feel about it. I don't think it's as good as liver actually. So bringing heart into the mix, I'm gonna fast for about 18 hours. That helped me. I felt some good control over my eating. I've been eating really well. And then I'm gonna have that monster meal at night. So I got what, 2 days left eating like Liver King. Okay, so I did just test positive for COVID. I've got like this headache here and in my eyeballs, like right here and right here a little bit. And last night I was starting to get this weird pain in my back, and I thought it was maybe just from my terrible squat technique, but I actually think now, reflecting, it's probably from COVID, because I have heard that's one of the symptoms. So I will say I'm double vaccinated. Ideally, I can recover pretty well from this. I'm not blaming the Liver King diet for getting COVID. I actually think it's going to help me because of the bone marrow, because of bone broth also, you know, and I'm going to lay low for today and tomorrow. I'm going to get outside, go for some walk, get some sun, get some fresh air, and take a nap. But I think one of the main things here is to just, you know, realize it's time for me to make sure I recover so that I stay healthy. I've got 4 kids. I don't want to spread this. I don't want to get around other people. I've been wearing a mask when I'm around other people the last like 2 to 3 days, so I have been doing a decent job with that. I'm going to continue eating like the Liver King over the next day and a half because this is coming to an end here, and ideally the bone broth, the marrow, the raw liver, all that stuff hopefully factors into my recovery from COVID. So it sort of sucks, but this is the way the world is currently. All right, so it's my first meal on COVID. Starting off, 2 raw egg yolks. Lincoln's not thrilled about that. So I know Liver King's not a huge vegetable guy. So I know Liver King is not a huge fan of greens, but what I did is I've been a little paranoid since I got COVID. The kids are crazy right now. I'm smashing some of our raw sauerkraut because this is loaded with vitamin C. It's loaded with stuff that's good for my gut, and it's going to help with my immune system. I'm also going to smash some of the greens party from Earth Fed Muscle because I feel really good when I have this with my gut. So going slightly off of that Liver King, I put some bone marrow inside my bone broth. I already had 2 massive cups of bone broth. I'm going to top that off with some straight up raw liver here. Because I'll say this, I do think it's important for me to get a lot of zinc. Just crush that liver. Gonna have some of the greens here. Eat some raw sauerkraut. Had the eggs. Bone marrow's in my broth. And I'm also gonna have some stewed meats. I do think stewed meats is a really good way to stay healthy. So I'll keep you updated on how I feel with COVID. Still staying true to that Liver King diet, just adding in those greens, adding in the fermented vegetables, that homemade kraut, and the Earth Fed Muscle greens, crushing that collagen, that natural collagen you get out of bone broth. So hopefully I can crush this COVID really quickly. News this morning, so this morning when I went outside for a walk for like 5 minutes. It's like 10 to 12 degrees. I actually think it helps my chest open up from the COVID because when I went back inside, I felt not perfectly fine, but I felt a lot better. And now we're going to take our thumbnail picture for the YouTube video.
Dane, what do you got there?
I got liver and heart. Thankfully, my back hair is keeping me warm in this 12-degree weather. It's a little cold out here. So heart sort of tastes like, I've said before, a poor man's roast beef. It's not bad. It's just like, I think out of all the organs, it's the most overrated. Liver's the most underrated. Heart doesn't taste bad, but people have been, oh, it's amazing. It's so good. It's like, it's not that good. It's pretty good, but it's not like as amazing as people make it out to be. So we're out here taking thumbnail pictures. So I just figured I'd show you. It is easy to bite into. I'll show you that I'm gonna swallow the whole thing so you don't think I'm a fraud. I'll awkwardly stare at the camera. Sort of crazy. Look at this bad boy. Poof, 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 poof. Last day on the Liver King. I'm taking my marrow here, putting that inside of a little pot. And the reason being, I got COVID, and this is my boner broth, AKA bone broth. My whole goal right now is I'm trying to get a decent amount of bone broth in me. I have my vitamin C from my fermented cabbage, from my sauerkraut, Pennsylvania Dutch Special. Got myself this nice heart here. Been gnawing on it all day. It's easy to just sort of grip it and rip it. The raw heart texture is much better than the raw liver. The raw liver, I think, is much better when you mix it into a blender. I like to make like a V8 shake out of it. Put bone broth, put a little bit of mint, some cayenne, and then mix in the raw liver. I think that's the best way to have it. And dude, as you progress through a diet like this, and you add in more of the egg yolks, the raw egg yolks, I actually think Raw egg yolks are extremely healthy for your stomach, and because they're so high in vitamin A, they've got a ton of beta carotenes in it if you're getting it pasture raised. I think that sort of expedites the process of adjusting your gut. So do that along with the bone broth. Still, especially when you start to get sick, I think there's definitely benefit from vegetables, tubers, potatoes, sweet potatoes and stuff like that, avocado. So, and to be fair to the Liver King, he does promote avocado. So I don't think the diet's bad. I think it's a pretty good diet. I'm gonna finish up eating here, cook up this bone broth, and hopefully I can crush COVID. Okay, so I survived COVID. I feel good. I feel healthy. We got over that crazy hump. And I would say too, when we're talking about the Liver King diet, that it's important to recognize that meal prepping and just planning ahead helps keep things a little bit easier. It decreases your stress levels, which it makes it so that you're not over consuming food. And it just makes it a lot more convenient to actually eat and to eat sustainably and healthy long term. And liver raw, yes, the texture is weird. It's a weird flavor. Heart raw, all those things are definitely a little bit peculiar, a little bit strange. But ultimately, I don't think it's that horrible of a meal plan or a meal guide. I don't think, I think with the Liver King, I think he's promoting, fitness, spending family time, getting outside, eating whole foods, and making sure you know where you get your food from and how you source your food. I think that those are all very reasonable and actually appropriate things that you should do to be healthy long term. But I think what we've also got to bring up is just clear deception. I think there's an established clear deception from Liver King's body and physique is the result of just ancestral living. And I think that that's clearly deceiving. It's clear deception. I think some of the other things too that we have to bring to light here is also his business partner, Paul Saladino at Carnivore MD 2.0. They're in cahoots with each other. So everything that they're doing is like marketing towards specific groups. So it's sort of, if you can think of, Liver King is marketing to the meatheads and the over the top crazy stuff that he does. And then the Carnivore MD 2.0 is marketing towards the intellect and a little bit more into like the research-based stuff. Although I do think that there's a lot of research that can be questioned around the actual success long-term of the carnivore diet. And I don't even believe that our ancestors truly were carnivores. They weren't. They were omnivores, and there's a lot of evidence around that with the Samani tribes in the Amazonian rainforest and how they lived. So I think that deception needs to be just brought to light. They're two different supplement companies that are owned together by Saladino and by Brian Johnson, and it's just a form of that deception along with his physique. And then finally, even to the point where Liver King comments on YouTube videos essentially with a bot. He's commented on Zach Tellender's video with the exact same comment that he has commented on our previous video about him. So it's clearly another form of deception. And I think although his message is not that bad, we just have to be aware that when there's deception, there's a lot of things going on deeper behind the scenes. So I do think, eating raw meat here and there, it's not gonna kill you. It's not gonna be the worst thing ever. Make sure you're eating whole foods, but ultimately be aware of these marketing ploys. It's okay that these guys are trying to make money. It's perfectly fine. But I think when deception is used to institute financial gain, I think that's when I have serious problems, and that's one key factor here. So just be aware of that deception being used to increase the depth of someone's financial pockets. Until next time, guys, cultivate your power. Peace.